Welcome to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where we feature top leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry with your host, Drew Hendricks. Now, let's get started with the show.
Drew Hendricks here. I'm the host of the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where I talk with leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry, from winery owners like Mark Hansen of Bricoler Vineyards, who created a holistic plant-to-plate wine tasting experience for his visitors, to today's guest, Heather Polick, who enables wineries to draw the perfect balance between cost and quality when deciding on a closure for their wine. Today's episode, it's sponsored by Barrels Ahead. At Barrels Ahead, we work with you to implement a one-of-a-kind marketing strategy, one that highlights your authenticity, tells your story, and connects you with your ideal customers. In short, if you're a business looking to retain a winery or craft beverage producer as a client, Barrels Ahead will figure out a plan to make it happen. Go to barrelsahead.com today to learn more. Now, before I introduce today's guest, I want to give a big thank you to Sarah Mall from Vinoseal. On last week's show, Sarah and I talked about her journey from fashion to becoming a certified sommelier to being the founder of Vinoseal, a virtual wine and spirits experience platform. Sarah gave some great advice for wineries looking to level up their own virtual wine tasting experiences. Check out that episode to learn more. I am super excited to talk with today's guest, Heather Polick from ACIC Cork and Closures. Now, I have to say, I always ask the guests to write a couple sentences to introduce themselves. And Heather has written the best intro I've read yet. And I hope I don't screw it up. I couldn't change anything. It's fantastic. So let's see if I can do this. Heather is an East Coast born and raised Jersey girl who's been rocking out to all things wine and spirits for over a decade. For the past 7 years, she's called Sunny Sonoma home. Heather's roles have covered the gamut in the wine industry, from dragging a bag into liquor stores to writing wine lists at the finest Italian eateries in New Jersey, to her current role as a cork-toting, tin-slinging hotshot with a national sales territory. Heather says her passion has always been about people, sunshine, and wine. In her current gig, she gets a good slug of all three on the daily. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Thanks, Drew. I appreciate it. You did pretty good there.
Oh, thank you. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry.
Oh, I think it's similar to a lot of other people's stories. You kind of trip and fall right into a vat of wine or spirits. You usually come with a background of something completely different and then find that drinking wine or spirits is way more fun than what you're doing, and you want to get into it more and integrate it into your daily life as a business or a job.
What was your previous background?
Well, I went to school for nutrition, and I usually sat bedside in hospitals telling people not to drink. And so here I am. But yeah, I went to school for nutrition and really loved it. Thought that was going to be the long-term thing for me. And as it just turned out, it wasn't. And through a couple job changes, I was offered a job working for a distributor. Opici Family Distributing, which turned out to be about 4 years of, like I said, pulling a bag in liquor stores and working with owners and bartenders with drink special lists on the bar and writing wine lists. So that was great. And I really enjoyed it so much. I'd won a couple trips out to the West Coast for selling wine and the Mondavi profile and some Constellation brands, and really enjoyed it. And I remember calling my mom probably after many wine tastings and telling her, I think I might not come back, Mom. I love it out here. And actually, it happened. So awesome. I came out here because I wanted to touch it. I wanted to not only drag it in a bag, but I wanted to learn everything that I could about it. From making it to running a tasting room, which is what I did on the downtown Cinema Plaza, and really fell in love with it. And so I've had multiple opportunities pop up along the way, and I landed a job on the supplier side, and I've been doing this for just about 5 years now, and really enjoying the supplier side because I get to work with both the spirit side as well as the wine side, even some olive oil and food products. Anything we could put a cork in, basically.
Oh, that's great. What excited you best about the industry? Like, aside from all the rich stories and everything, for me, I have a similar background where I graduated with a degree in philosophy and Attic Greek. Thought I was going to be a philosopher, but instead ended up drinking wine, which I think Might be similar.
Well, I mean, we tend to have pretty in-depth conversations when we're drinking wine, so it ties in, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the passion. It's the passion that people have in this industry, whether on the wine or the spirit side. They really love what they do. And so what I said about people and working with people and why I love it so much is that every conversation that I have, wine or spirits is so deeply entwined in these people's lives, their businesses. They eat, drink, and sleep their business, and it's their passion. And so it's not just something that's a 9-to-5 job where they, punch their ticket and call it a night. It's something completely different, and that is why I love it. And there's a lot of camaraderie in the industries as well. It's not just, I'm going to keep my successes to myself. People share what's worked for them and what hasn't. And so there's an incredible network of people that you can call if you want to get into the business, or if you're struggling with a certain part of the business, whether it's direct selling. And, obviously there was something that a lot of people had to jump into quick with the pandemic last year. And we had to make a lot of changes. And I think that because of the incredible network that exists, this web of entrepreneurs as well as experts, everybody is willing to offer what's worked, what hasn't, and offer help as far as how to deal with the government and, things like that. Really, really important things to what should I have in my tasting room? What glasses do I use? And you can get these answers from people in the industry. They want to help and they want to share. So it's the passion really that I love, and it is addicting.
Oh, I get it. I love, and it was almost exactly this time last year where we were thrown into this pandemic. And I agree. I could not believe the camaraderie that I saw among all the agencies on both the supply side and the direct to consumer side. Everybody was just kind of banding together and helping wineries and helping people together just figure out how to do business online. Because a lot of them were flirting with the idea of doing business online and marketing online, but no one really kind of knew how, or they always thought they should do their emails. And there was a slew of free training and a slew of just free help out there to help people jumpstart and get moving.
Yeah, it's the dream of any business owner, either on the spirit side or on the winery side, to sell every bottle by hand and not use a distributor. And so, if you did have a shopping cart and a great, direct to customer shipping, setup, whether wine club or spirits club or just a member club, or a great website, or an Instagram presence or whatever it is, if that existed prior to the pandemic, most of those people did not, struggle as other people did, that depended on a tasting room or a walk-in experience where they literally were left with no way to sell their product. So I know that was a big struggle, for a lot of people last year. And you see it in some of the accounts that I have. People that, literally did not call for 6 months. And normally I talk to them monthly.
Oh, wow.
So, but a lot of, I think, a year is a long time, and people did have the time to kind of get with it and either decide for it or decide against it. And whatever decision they made was because of friends and recommendations of, how to make it happen. Because there's a lot of red tape, as we know, which is important in the wine and spirits industry, because it is, alcohol and, shipping to states and licenses. There's so much stuff that needed to be done in order to sell. And not to mention all of the distilleries that switched their programming to create like hand sanitizer. And so, we got a lot of calls for, can you put cork and hand sanitizer in a bottle together? Can we put a screw cap on it? And then what kind of bottles can we get our hands on to put the hand sanitizer in? So questions that you don't even think about kind of.
I don't know the answer. Can you put a cork in a hand sanitizer?
You can't. So you only want to put a cork in a bottle with alcohol. Normally. Olive oil is one of those exceptions, and balsamic. But other than that, we worry about bacterial growth. And
that sounds counterintuitive for hand sanitizer to create bacteria growth.
We want to make sure that there's alcohol in the bottle. And there are alternatives. Obviously, we have synthetic shanks. With bar tops, as well as, screw caps, and other options for, other products that people want. And we do, including Vinoseal, actually. So do you know what Vinoseal is, Drew?
I do not know what Vinoseal is.
Okay, we'll have to send you a kit so you have something on your desk to look at the next time. I apologize, I didn't do that in advance, but it's a glass closure, and they actually are produced in the Czech Republic. So the cleanest glass in the world, or the cleanest sand in the world, comes from that location, about an hour outside of Prague. And they can't have lead in them because they come in contact with food. So they aren't like the most beautiful chandeliers, but the glass, the same sand is used, sans the lead. Oh, wow. So we can close bottles, so spirits as well as wine bottles, in Vinoseal. It's a very elegant looking closure. It could be customized to the max, or we have stocks that are just black or clear or rosé colored. And they do this nice little pop action, and they're gorgeous. You can keep them
and reusable
forever and reuse them. Exactly. So
you know what? I did have a bottle of wine that had a glass closure, and I thought it was amazing.
It's Vinoseal.
Overlook Cellars up in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah, they are an incredible addition to our line. We started selling them about 1.5 years ago, and so we're really pushing them into the market, and people are having a lot of fun with them.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great. Let's step back for a second and tell me a little bit about ACIC and your role there.
Sure. So ACIC Cork and Closures is basically a distributor of 2 manufacturers that we can offer the best of all worlds for wine and spirits. And so our manufacturers are both located in Portugal and right down the street from one another, which makes it great for us because we get about 4 containers a week up to Napa and to our warehouse. So we have a constant flow of product coming in, both stock and customs. Our Cork Supplier is the best, literally the best in the world. It's a family-owned business of 150 years, and they, again, eat, sleep, and breathe cork. So it's incredible to represent a cork company that can offer us the best R&D that the world has to offer. Literally, they're making leaps and bounds every year to do better, to be greener, and to do more research on how to make cork better and cleaner. And we have extremely competitive prices. And then the capsule and screw cap supplier is, again, a family-owned business of 80 plus years. They've been doing tin capsules, polylam, polytin, PVC, screw caps for both wine and spirits, as well as olive oil, pourers and things like that. And so they're worldwide. Think of your favorite Irish whiskey. It probably has a tin capsule from them. So being able to support 2 great family-owned businesses is really great because even though both of them are a decent size, you get to deal with me. You don't have to go through a large company. You don't feel like you are just being shifted if you're not, an extremely large winery or a very, very large distillery. You get me on the other side of the phone, on the other side of an email, on the other side of a text, however you like to do business. And so it's incredibly personal and personable. So you tell me, what you want, what you need, what your aspirations are. We can, send you a stock tin or screw cap, or we can make it your own. We can make it neon pink and, put an embossed heart on the top and, whatever it is you imagine to be your branding, and we can make it happen. Same thing with cork. We do all the printing here in Napa. And so we can laser, it can be fire branded, there's lots of options. And so to work with 2 great manufacturers makes ACIC who we are. And we basically are driven by customer service. And now that I'm back on the road, coming to a state near you. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So last year was all virtual.
All virtual, exactly.
I've got so many questions about the corks, but I still got to ask about how the last year, how did your business evolve and how did you guys adapt? And did anything stick that you see it's going to be moving forward as we move into 21, 22?
Sure. It was something that was pretty interesting that I noticed on Instagram and Facebook was all of these winemakers and wineries doing these live tastings. I think that they are so great because, a lot of people come to wine country to taste wine, or a lot of people do the distillery trail in Kentucky to taste bourbon. And there's no reason that these things can't be done, online or a mix of them. I mean, I would say get a group of friends together, but we're still kind of slowly getting out of the COVID thing. But, to open up a bottle and taste it and have the winemaker tell you, how it was made, everything about the vineyard and the production and the time in the barrel, or, the same thing for a spirit, and to sit there and hear them and taste it at the same time, despite the fact that we couldn't get on an airplane or get in a car or meet with a group of friends for a bachelor or bachelorette party. We got to do those things. And I think that that's what made us so great in this industry, because we kept going forward and we so greatly adapt to all the limitations that were thrown at us. And so basically, so did we as a supplier. Trade shows is a great way to socialize and find new friends, literally, to work with and colleagues and partners. And so since we weren't able to do that, we were able to do some of the trade shows, which there is a huge lacking. The reason that we love trade shows is because we can sit at the bar and talk,
And we just came off of a series of about 4 that we usually used to have, ones that I attended every year. And I tried to attend them virtually, but, I learned a lot, but it didn't have the same camaraderie.
No, and really that's what brings in our industry, the trade show such great success is because we are the people that represent a brand or a product, and it's standing in front of someone, showing them the product, talking about it. Some of the talks on the trade shows, they're great to listen to when we talk about, sustainability or government, regulations and things like that. Those we can listen to and hear a speaker, and they could be quite profound in the choices that we make. But when it comes to a new bond or working with a new supplier or giving someone business, giving them your annual needs for cork, sometimes meeting the person and being in front of them and be able to have, eye contact and to laugh and to take a walk and to talk about what's possible, what's not. Sometimes that magic really happens when you're in the same room. But I did have success because I had been traveling so much in the past and I had been to so many trade shows that I do lend my success of the last year of selling to have connected to so many people that all of those people were digging through their Rolodexes because we couldn't have the trade shows and we weren't on the road traveling. And so I think that that's definitely helped us as a company, because we've had a lot of phone calls that were, hey, do you have this? I know we haven't worked together, but can you send me a sample?
That's great. It kind of opened up a channel of communication because people expected that in-person experience and you had to do it. Now they realize that you can jump on a Zoom call and you can do a little bit of the phone thing. And it kind of brought the old guard into like the digital era a little bit.
Yeah. It forced us in whether we wanted to or not. And actually my boss did a really great job of getting us on the Zoom calls, connected and as a team together. And that was something that we definitely missed. We would always get to the office once a month for a team meeting where we could get together and share, struggles and successes and look at numbers, of course, the usual boring sales stuff. But, when you have a team and you have support, it really makes a difference. So we were able to kind of do that on the Zoom. And I probably am talking 20 times better than I would have prior because I'm used to these things now.
No, I think we all got used to them.
Yeah.
Moving back to corks, you mentioned that some of those family-owned cork producers. Now, you don't normally think of something that's been around for hundreds of years, common closure, having new technology or new green initiatives. What are some of these new initiatives that's happening over there in Portugal?
So basically, as you all know, there are some volatile compounds and off flavorings that can occur that we want to avoid when we are putting cork into our wines and spirits. And so there are new cleaning technologies that allow the cork to maintain their incredible sealing abilities while they're in the bottle. And so, if you are to boil a cork and hope that everything bad is going to come out of it, at some point you are going to destroy the chemical structure of what makes cork so great. You might be able to take all of the bad stuff out, but you're also going to denature the incredible sponginess, you may say, that creates that seal inside the bottle. And so basically it's a mixture of a lot of time, money, and effort. And basically by the start of last year, we were able to now say that we can offer natural corks that offer an almost never existing TCA level. I mean,
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, under 1% is probably close to the number, just not to mention, exact facts, but the cleanliness is so high, let's say 99%, that it's going to be incredibly neutral. And so for a producer that's going to make a bottle of wine that is very expensive, the goal is for that bottle of wine to show great and exactly how they intended to the customer. And so when we can offer this product across all of our natural corks, there's an additional process that they can pay for in addition to this cleaning process that offers an actual guarantee on top of it. There's so many options, even down to technical corks. There's a different process that we're using for those as well that offers, yet again, that extra security blanket that we've been looking for. And so what's great about this is, unlike a lot of our competitors, we don't use plastic. The reason is we represent a cork company and we do cork. So we don't have to take cork out of the equation. We add cork for the guarantee, and we don't add plastic. The more we move into sustainable, as you mentioned earlier, and single-use plastics is exactly what we don't really stand for. As we are, selling cork, we want cork to be better and better, and not looking for alternatives.
That's amazing. So just to put it into perspective from my history, back when I first started selling wine in the early 90s, we would sell a lot of high-end Burgundies.
Okay.
I would commonly tell customers, and this was 30 years ago. Yeah. At that time, it was common that 5% of the Burgundy bottles were corked. And that's a big change since then. And I actually have myself say this to somebody, that's the cost of doing business if you're buying Burgundy. But that's changed. So if you're buying Burgundy today, you're not experiencing that.
We're really in a totally different world, and there are so many options out there available. And it's asking the questions to your suppliers, and it's making sure that whatever they are guaranteeing or whatever they offering, that they are standing behind, what they are offering, and to make sure that they are doing the homework and the research. And if you find that you're struggling with TCA, there are options out there that, we can talk about, and we can understand, why you're having issues. At the end of the day, volatile compounds, TCA, they're never going to go away. They exist as an organic compound in nature. They're in wood products such as barrels and pallets, and they're in our vegetables like carrots and potatoes. Sometimes you get produce and you smell it and you're like, what is that? And so the goal is to always do better. It's never going to go away 100%, but we do want that 5% that you were mentioning before to be a lot less.
And that is a lot less than 1%. That's, less than one bottle out of 100.
And they
you're looking at like 2 bottles per pallet.
Yeah. I think they say less than 30% of people can actually sense these compounds anyway, which is great. But at the end of the day, we always want the wine to show, and the spirits as well, to show what they're supposed to be like. And so,
that's for me. I have a very, very perceptive to TCA, and I can tell you that 30 to 40% of the people working in wine tasting rooms can't taste TCA.
It's definitely part of it, and it's interesting when you go to a restaurant and, some of the things have changed. I don't know if they're doing it because of COVID or not, but I went to a restaurant recently and the somm opened the bottle at the bar. And
that happened to me too. I'm like, what the heck?
Maybe you and I are getting old and we're out of the loop, but I love when the bottle is open table side. You can talk with him and you can watch him open the bottle and pour some. And then he left the cork at the counter. So I had to ask for the cork because obviously I'm cork obsessed, right?
Uh-huh.
And, you want to take a look at the cork and not necessarily smell it. But it's part of the romance, of our industry. And as I said,
You want to feel is it springy? I mean, what is the
you want to take a look at it.
Climbing up the sides. There's a lot of things you can tell.
Exactly. You want to see what the producer's using, even the capsule. So he tore the capsule off without allowing me to see it. And I mean, that's half of me going out to dinner is my R&D. So Can I call this producer? Can I sell him tin? Can I offer him corks? Can we have a conversation about, why he's using a technical cork versus a natural cork? Why someone might use a 49 millimeter cork versus a 54 if it's a really expensive bottle. Talk about how, speaking of Burgundies, when there's a longer cork, there's more aging capacity because cork is made of, at minimum, 70% of oxygen. Basically, the cellular structure of cork is made of oxygen. So the idea of microoxygenation, the longer the time the cork is in the bottle and the longer the cork, the longer aging capacity, the more chemical interactions, the more the wine can evolve and adapt over time. And we can't have those conversations if we can't see the cork.
Absolutely.
And exactly. So anyway, those are some things that go through my mind when I'm thinking about what my customers are doing, why they're doing them, and what can I do to help.
Well, that's fantastic. Sorry. Back to sustainability. Can you share just with our listeners a little bit about because a cork tree is entirely regenerating and sustainable and one of the most eco-friendly things you're going to be able to find. Can you talk to us about that?
It is. You hear often that there is a giving tree. And I actually think that in whether it's the Bible or whether it's, storybooks that we read, the giving tree is actually the cork tree. So the cork tree is an oak tree, actually. Corcus suber is its name. And so these trees live 200 to 300 years. And actually, when we harvest them, it allows them to live longer. And so cork is harvested, well after year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. We don't actually start using the cork from harvested cork trees until around between 30 and 40 years of age. And so if you plant a cork tree right now, somewhere in Portugal or in the Mediterranean, your family might be able to sell, maybe your grandkids will benefit from it most. But we harvest every 9 years. And basically when the cork is harvested, or how it's harvested, is it's harvested in late summer here, similar to our harvest here. And it is hands done with an axe. And so it's an incredibly skilled labor. And if you go too deep with the axe, you're actually scarring the next layer of what will be cork. And so it's all done by hand. And there really aren't cork forests per se. It does exist, but a lot of the cork trees that are harvested are from people's properties. And so every 9 years, there's a harvest, and you could potentially, get a check. And so when the trees are actually harvested and naked, they have the potential to absorb more CO2 from the atmosphere in our environment. And so back to the giving tree conversation, not only does it give us this incredible stopper that is the top of the cork food chain, which is cork that goes into wine and spirits and food products, but it's also used for so many other things.
I'm standing on a cork floor right now.
There you go. So it's a great insulator as far as temperature, as well as, for your knees. It is a great cushion. It's also not flammable. So when cork is ground up, we can sell it and have contracts with people like NASA to line spaceships because it's not flammable, and it's also an incredible insulator. So cork is used more than you know. I mean, you've seen the shoes and the purses, which are fun, but it has a lot of uses, more than you think, outside of wine and spirits.
Oh, that's amazing. For a winery deciding between a cork and a screw top closure or that glass cap. What's the best use case for each, in your opinion? Or how do you guide a winery through, or a spirits producer through this journey of closures?
Sure. Basically, everybody comes into the game with a vision, and sometimes the vision is really strong, and sometimes we're able to understand what they really want. And when you look at the cogs of a program, or the price of everything, so you have to think about the price of a label and the price of a glass bottle. Are you bottling at your own facility? Are you hand bottling? Are you at this huge, bottling facility where they do the glass and the labels and everything for you? Are they making that decision for you? Sometimes people come to me and they make all these decisions, and then they find a bottler and they find out that they can't buy it from me because they're buying a one-stop solution from the supplier or from the bottling facility. And so then I go after the bottling facility at that point. But
absolutely.
So it's understanding what they really want. Cost is something that usually comes last. Unfortunately, it should come first, because sometimes we come up with this incredible bar top for this, bottle of bourbon that's only going to be $20, and the top can be $5 a piece. And then we have to do a little backtracking. But it's understanding what they really want, what their vision is. If they have an incredibly green vision, we're going to look at a couple options, but we're not going to look at a screw cap, because we all know that mining ore out of a mountainside is not incredibly green. It is an option. It's an inexpensive option, but you can get a 10-cent cork and you can get a 10-cent screw cap. Another green option, is the Vinoseal, because glass is sand. And so, it's another green option. So, it depends what they want. Some people are going naked, no tops, no capsules on the top of their wine.
That's taken a little bit of getting used to. I've started getting more and more of those bottles. And at first I thought something's missing, and now I'm kind of used to it, but there's a look to it, and people have this vision. And of course, my goal is to sell you what you want. And I have capsules, but if you choose to not go with capsules because you want to be so green, then let's make a good green cork decision, and go with a full natural cork and the price point that makes sense for your bottle. And so, it's all about the story, the vision, what they want, what they're looking for, where they're trying to go. And we have it all. Well, that's amazing. And you were talking about the custom bar top closures, so you can design the look and feel of the actual top. You had mentioned an embossed heart.
Yeah. So, when we think of bottles, spirit bottles, we think of that typical brown wood with a natural or microagglomerated shank. And so, wood connected to wood, sealing a great bottle of whiskey or bourbon from your favorite distiller in Kentucky, or really anywhere in the States these days. Everybody's kind of coming out with incredible, vodkas and rums and gins. So you have lots of local options as well. But it's the sky's the limit again, metal tops, or, a plastic top we can throw a weight into and it feels like a metal top,
heft.
Right. When it comes to wood, we can make any shape that you want. It doesn't have to be the standard, round diameter that sits flush to the top of the bottle. We can make it like a doorknob. We can make a heart shape. Obviously, everything has a cost to it, but you don't have to have the standard. It's whatever you can think of. We will, draw it up. We have an entire team that works on creating new innovations. We have scratch and sniff tops. We have tops with drawers, or
tell me a little bit more about the scratch and sniff top.
I mean, if you want your, it's like the old stickers, right? Or those markers that we were all sniffing as children, that they took off the market. But it was the blueberry marker was blue, right? And the strawberry marker was red. The same thing here. So we can create a scratch and sniff on the top of the bar top. So when you're at the liquor store, you can actually have a scratch and sniff preview of what's in the bottle.
That's great. One more just step in enhancing that sensory experience.
Exactly. And there's there's the botanical toppers. It's a bar top with basically an open cavity where you can throw in some juniper berries, etc. And so, sealed with a PVC capsule so you can see it, and all customizable with colors and shapes and sizes. Again, any material. You want something ceramic, something in cement, anything you can think of, we can make it happen with a nice timeline, brought to you by containers moving slow across the COVID ocean these days.
Yeah, I get that. So that's so amazing. So bringing in the whole marketing angle of it, thinking beyond just the closure, but the part above the closure and the seal around it. That's fantastic.
Exactly.
How have you seen that evolved over the last few years, and where do you see it going?
Well, there's always a huge need for stocks, and we have an incredible amount of stocks, available at any given time. And there's usually a standard. There's a couple sizes that fit most spirits and wine bottles. Some people are putting whiskey in wine bottles, but there's a standard of sizes, and so those are held as stock. So usually, when a customer first finds us, or we talk to them, we get them started off and starting to bottle in a standard. And then we kind of move into the custom. Or if they're still in the paperwork phase of the business, we can usually, have a top close to, when they're opening. And sometimes you're waiting for the glass, and sometimes you're waiting for the bar top. But, the goal is to, get you exactly what you want. But if you need to bottle right now, that's what stocks are for. And they're the typical blonde or brown or black wood with a shank, to seal the bottle and get you on your feet. And then when you get your reserves, 5 years down the road for the barrels that have been sitting and waiting, and the angel has been taking half of that gorgeous brown liquor inside, we can get you into that custom, pink heart-shaped bar top with sparkles on it, if that's, so what you're going for. But yeah, sky's the limit on that. And, happy to figure out what the next new thing is with you.
Oh, that's awesome. So when the day's over, what have you been drinking lately?
I drink too much. Don't tell my mother.
Same here.
I love a good Pinot Noir. It's just, for me, it's a red wine, which, I have to just go back to my roots. There's good benefits, heart health benefits of red wine. And so Pinot is right down the middle of the road. I don't actually have to be eating dinner. I could chill it if I wanted to, if it's a little hotter out. And so that's a
great summer tip. Chill your Pinots. You should be chilling them anyways a little bit.
You can chill any of your reds exactly as you should be anyway. And of course, I'm a gin and tonics kind of girl. So if you start a lot of my friends used to laugh at me and call me grandma while we were at the bars in college, that no one was drinking gin anymore. And I'm pretty sure the gin market is, off the hook these days. And there's
what's your favorite gin now?
Old habits die hard. I love Hendrick's. It's just been one of those, but there's lots of
I'm partial to that too. That's my last name and it's spelled the same.
Yep.
But I'm not getting any revenue on it.
No, maybe we'll see if we can do something about that. There's lots of local options now. Do you know any?
That is great. The local ones, I'm not the biggest gin person. I do like a Hendrick's.
Okay.
But I need to experience more because there's so many just variety of botanicals. I'm more of a bourbon guy.
Okay.
So that's my spirit of choice that I usually.
Okay. Who is it these days that you're drinking?
You know what? I'm loving Malahat. So they're a local craft distillery down here in San Diego.
Okay.
They're doing some awesome collaborations with some of the local breweries.
Nice.
Where they'll take the barrels that were aged in. They'll have the brewery age their IPA in one of their barrels, and then they will take that IPA aged barrel and age the whiskey in it, which gives us just hints of it. And then they did this one with a honey. So there's this hotel downtown that has a beehive on the top. And they made a bourbon finished, or it was aged in a honey barrel.
Wow.
It has just a note of honey on it, but it's completely dry. So that's one of my favorite local ones.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm looking to get back to Kentucky soon to see what's new over there. But it seems that distilleries are popping up all around us, and there's no reason that we can't find something local to support and do business with too.
Absolutely. So speaking about the industry, who do you admire most in the industry right now?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that, Drew. I should have been more prepared. You know who I admire? I admire all the business owners. And that might be a cheap way out of this.
Absolutely not. Given what we went through over the last year, that is a great shout out.
I do.
Yeah.
To have your doors shut for an entire year, and especially here in California, it broke my heart every day that, I couldn't really help. And by selling and by, doing work with my partners, but jumping on the phone and talking with them and seeing how some of them were able to transition into the hand sanitizer world. And just being able to get them on the phone and talk about, we're moving into the next, realm of this, and we're able to open our doors, or we're able to start doing outdoor tastings. My heart goes out to each and every person in this industry that persevered and pushed through, and that probably has a big hole in their pocketbook right now. But because of their passion and love, they're still here with us. And all of us drinkers out there, we appreciate everything that you do, and all the power to them.
Great call. Great call out. A shout out to the resilience of the industry. I love it.
Totally.
Much needed.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Heather, where can people find out more about you and ACIC?
Oh, well, we have a Instagram page and a Facebook page that we try to put some cool and fun things of what we see and what we're doing and some of our partners, as well as our website, ACICClosures.com. You can see my mug up there. Hopefully we get that picture changed soon. And but yeah, you can give me a call, a text, an email, whatever works. And we look forward to, any of the projects that we can help you with, and in the conversations of the future.
Awesome. All right, Heather, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Drew. This was fun.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.